Have you ever wondered why the animatronics stop exactly at 6 a.m.? Or why, instead of staying at the door, they go back to the stage? They might seem like pointless questions, but they're not. In Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon made one thing very clear. Nothing is placed at random. Today, we're going to solve the three biggest questions that every player in the saga has had at some point, focusing on the first game in the series. Most games in the saga include a very particular mechanic, the same one that led the series to massive success. The game starts at 12 a.m. in an office and ends at 6 a.m. During that time, you have to survive by closing doors or using flashlights. But have you ever wondered why this rule exists? According to what Phone Guy explains, for security reasons, the animatronics are no longer allowed to roam during the day, like they did in FNAF 2. This new rule has a reason, and it can be linked to the bite of '87, where a guard was attacked by an animatronic and lost his frontal lobe. And I'm not going to get into which animatronic it was, because last time I did. That's why the animatronics were limited to roaming only at night, creating the now famous night mode. Now you might ask, why not just keep them completely still and avoid having a guard fight for his life every night? Well, this was done to prevent their servo motors from locking up or rusting due to lack of use. In other words, your shift exists to make sure no one enters the building and that this totally harmless, unloved bear doesn't rust away. At 6 a.m., the animatronic system switches from night mode to day mode. At this point, the animatronics must return to their stage positions or remain static to safely interact with children. When opening time arrives or the morning staff comes in, their sensors recalibrate. They're no longer searching for endoskeletons out of place, and instead enter a passive entertainment phase. Understanding this leads to the most important question: why do they want to kill us? This is another debate the community has had for years. Do they kill because of their programming, or because of the children inside them? Starting with their programming, while in night mode, when they see a human after hours, their system doesn't recognize them as a person, but as an endoskeleton without a proper suit. This goes against restaurant rules, so they try to help by forcing you into a Freddy suit, which, well, is deadly. Then there are the children's souls. They are confused and angry. They see the guard, an adult in uniform, and associate him with their killer. The souls take advantage of that free mode at 12 a.m. to take control. It's as if the programming gives them permission to move, and the soul provides the will to attack. But even so, they're still vulnerable to the animatronics programming, which is why they're forced to stop moving at 6 a.m. But have you ever wondered, why is the kitchen the only place in the entire game that we can't see? Scott mentioned that this mechanic exists so players would rely more on sound and to save space. This happens in Camera 6, which emits sound but shows no video. This caused massive paranoia back in the day. I remember seeing people on Reddit years ago asking if there was a secret animatronic there, or if that's where the bodies were hidden. Many users swore that if you pressed certain key combinations or waited until a specific time, the camera would magically turn on. So what does the lore tell us? Well, there's no definitive explanation, but I've gathered three theories that best explain it. The first explanation comes from the company itself. According to the operations manual and what the lore implies, the lack of video in the kitchen isn't a malfunction, but an intentional design choice. Fazbear Entertainment has been extremely paranoid about its intellectual property, and it's said that they didn't allow cameras in the kitchen to prevent someone, or a curious guard, from stealing pizza preparation methods or anything else that required full confidentiality. As Phone Guy mentions, the pizzeria's budget was extremely low. The kitchen camera broke years ago, and instead of fixing it, the company decided that audio was enough to know if something was wrong, saving on repair costs. This makes a lot of sense, considering how poorly maintained the place was, along with Jeremy's miserable pay. Even so, many suggest that the company was trying to hide some kind of disaster. It's theorized that the kitchen was in such a disgusting state that they preferred the guard not see the unsanitary conditions through the monitors. And now we reach what, in my humble opinion, is the biggest question in FNAF. Well, maybe not the biggest, but you get the idea. Why the hell don't they just stay outside the doors? I don't know if you've ever wondered this, but it's intrigued me since I was a kid. What I mean is that in FNAF 1, the animatronics start on the stage, and throughout the night they move toward the office. One of two things happens. Either we're bad at the game and die, or we're smart enough to close the door in time. If that happens, the animatronic eventually leaves and returns to the stage. So why don't they just stay there waiting for us to open the door? We'd die way more easily, right? Eventually, we'd run out of power and be forced to leave. The The answer is simpler than it seems. At the end of the day, animatronics are robots, and they can't escape the laws of thermodynamics, according to the book The Week Before. We're told that animatronics don't have infinite energy. Moving their heavy metal endoskeletons consumes massive amounts of electricity, which is why there are metallic charging plates beneath the main stage, almost like wireless chargers that restore their energy. If an animatronic stayed outside a door for too long, its battery would completely drain, leaving it collapsed in the middle of the hallway. That would be a huge disaster for the company, since the next day they'd have to drag it back to the stage, and I don't think that thing is very light. And while there are nights like 2020 where the animatronics seem to never return, the explanation is that they're managing their energy more efficiently, which is why they attack more aggressively. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be reading the comments looking for ideas for a future video, so if you have one, don't forget to leave it below. Much love, and I'll see you in the next one.